Today we're going to compare all the different ways of advertising in dropshipping. So Facebook ads, TikTok ads, TikTok Shop, and TikTok Organic. These are the main 4 ways to do it generally, and I'm going to present all the pros and cons to you, and I'm going to tell you what makes sense in your situation. Because obviously, depending on your time, budget, and your skill set, we're going to pick the right business model for you. Let's start out with Facebook. You're going to have a shit ton of blogs, and it's going to happen to all of us. However, there are obviously ways to avoid it and to get better at things and get agency accounts, but it's a very tedious and long, annoying process to actually get to a point where you have less Facebook blogs. Not no Facebook blogs, but less. And obviously in Facebook, you have different types of components, which is a Facebook page, the Facebook account itself, the business manager, the ad account, and all of these different things, which are all tied together. If one of them goes down, you need to have backups to make sure that you actually don't lose your entire business. There's one thing which is even worse than blogs, which is there is a luck factor. If you right now will test the same exact product with the same exact store and the same exact creatives on 50 different ad accounts, you're gonna have different performances on each individual ad account. It might sound crazy to you guys, but it's real. Some ad accounts will simply not work. Some pages are shadow banned. Sometimes your domain is shadow banned. There are a bunch of things which can go wrong where you do everything right, but it doesn't work. This, I would personally say, is the actual real biggest problem on Facebook, because this small luck factor can actually ruin your entire strategy where you do everything right and you see you're doing everything right, but it just doesn't work, and then you quit and do something else. But in reality, you should have just moved ad account or something. And you're always going to have this little uncertainty with this luck factor. Obviously, you still can get around this. And obviously, you need to test from a couple of ad accounts, from a couple of pages, from a couple of domains. And these things need to be varied. But just keep this in mind. Also with Facebook, if you want to be successful, you have to test a lot of products. It's not a thing where you test one product and you can just expect it to work right away. You definitely need to make sure that you have a bunch of products in the pipeline, and you should never bet everything on your first product, because guess what? Most likely it's going to fail. Honestly, from everything I saw on Facebook, there's just one strategy which is working extremely well still to this day. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to talk about it here on this channel because it would get saturated if I would. However, there is one specific strategy within Facebook which actually does work pretty well. However, I would personally say there are still even better strategies out there which are not even on Facebook. Now, the biggest pro about Facebook is it's very scalable if you have a good setup, and the maintenance, so after you made it work, is not crazy high. You still have to test a bunch of creatives. Compared to the other ways of advertising, when it starts to work, it's actually much simpler to just keep going with it. The only thing you need to always keep in mind is when it works, you need to make sure that you have a bunch of backups so a block is not going to fuck everything up. So ideally, you run the same product from multiple ad accounts, from multiple pages, and if you go all out, you even have a backup store which is running at the same time. You make one product work twice. So if you actually have that set up in place and made Facebook work, then congrats, you're probably gonna make money for a while if you keep testing creatives over and over again. The last thing I want to mention here is the margins. And the margins, depending on your product, etc., are anywhere between 5 and 35%. 5% is super low, and getting 35% on scale is something which is really difficult, and you need to be extremely good at it. To make 10K in profit per month, you actually have to make 50K in sales every single month. And now keep in mind, the 10K are before taxes. That's something which most people forget. In most countries we live in, there are 50% taxes if you make a lot of money. So for example, in Germany, if you make 10K, you actually have 5K left. Now, this means to actually get 5K net, you have to generate $50,000 every single month in revenue. This means that you need to be scaling way higher. Just make sure that you actually understand these numbers and think twice what time frame it's actually going to take to quit your job. Because if you currently have a job and you're starting out with Facebook, just think about that. How long is it going to take till you generate 50K a month on a consistent basis to replace it? The answer is it's going to take a long time. And the real answer is it's not only going to take a long time, even when you generate 50K for a few months, you're not ready to quit your job yet. Because maybe you're just going to get blocked. If you have one winning product, you shouldn't quit your job on Facebook. One winning product and one account or so means that you're literally one ban away from just having no income. On Facebook, you need to have multiple winners at the same time, multiple ad accounts, multiple pages, multiple backups, until you actually should feel ready to quit your job. Next, let's talk about TikTok ads. Very first of all, I have to emphasize, I'm not the biggest expert in TikTok ads. The only thing I'm going to talk about here is things which happened to people around me which are doing TikTok ads and which are my good friends. So what we've been seeing on TikTok ads generally, that it's pretty inconsistent with everything and it's pretty difficult to scale to really high numbers because there's a bunch of chaos going on and it's much less consistent than Facebook ads. So a lot of the times when you try to scale, it just crashes all of a sudden for nothing. And during the day, you have to change the budgets and play around with it to actually make it work on a consistent level. And it's basically a lot of chaos. The big pro about TikTok ads is blogs are not that big of a problem. It's so much easier to source TikTok accounts. You literally create a new one and that's it. On Facebook, that's not really doable. And also getting TikTok agency accounts is the easiest thing in the world. There's no big fees, no nothing. And then everything is even much simpler. So comparing TikTok ads blogs with Facebook is not even a thing. Facebook is much, much worse. However, when you actually make things work on TikTok, it doesn't mean at all that you're going to keep making money for the next 3-4 months. You're going to see this a bunch of times where on day one, you start making a lot of money and then the next 5, 6, 7 days, nothing. Or the same thing for a couple of weeks, it does work and then it just dies down and never keeps working again. So TikTok ads is something which is very chaotic and inconsistent, and I would probably not recommend it to anybody starting out. It's generally something pretty advanced and you need to be almost like day trading your ads and making sure that everything is perfect to make this work the right way. So let's go on to the next thing, which is organic. If I would conclude organic in just one sentence, it's Facebook dropshipping in 2017. It's insane how much money you can make in a super short period of time. However, I'm going to still start out with all the cons because it definitely has a couple. Organic is not passive income at all. If you compare a winning product on Facebook versus a winning product on TikTok, it's way more time consuming, way more. And also it's way more maintenance during the day on each product because usually you have to post twice a day on each TikTok account you have and you should have a bunch. To actually go viral and find a winner and make a lot of profit, you need to post hundreds of videos. The benchmark roundabout, obviously it can be more or less, but roundabout 300 videos you have to create to start seeing really good success. 300 videos might sound like a lot, and it is. However, it can be condensed in just like 1 or 2 months pretty easily if you do like 9 or 10 videos a day. To make TikTok organic work, you need to have at least bare minimum 3 to 4 hours every single day. And ideally you do this full time later on. So in the beginning, you start out if you have a job with those 3 to 4 hours. And the moment you go viral and have enough to sustain yourself, you should instantly quit your job. And this is something which I am not confident in saying for Facebook or TikTok ads. You have a winner on TikTok or Facebook, things can go down and you're fucked. With organic, if you made it work with more time and effort, you're gonna make more work. Just so you understand, it is way more skill-based. If you learn the skill of TikTok organic once, you will basically have an infinite money glitch on the long run. Because if you just keep posting, you're gonna keep making money, again, if you figured it out. So this is by far my favorite thing about TikTok organic. It's so skill-based that there's almost no luck involved. Of course, still people get lucky and some people get a video on 5 million views and sometimes it's 50 million views, even though it's almost the same video. The luck is very calculated and you're gonna get lucky from time to time and you're also gonna get unlucky from time to time. But the skill is literally ridiculous. It's so simple after you learned how to go viral and to convert. And this is the exact reason why I'm pushing organic so hard on this channel and in my program, because I just caught myself telling people to quit their job much earlier. I saw, I would never ever tell the person who basically just made 10K in profit to quit their job if they would have done Facebook. But organic, I'm like, bro, your time is worth way more. Your working minimum job, these 8 hours you're wasting on your job, if you put them on organic, you're gonna make way more than what you're earning per month from the job. And that's such an obvious decision if you understand this, because quitting your job means extra 8 hours per day. If you put an extra 8 hours per day onto organic, you're gonna crush 100%. Just because it's so tied to how much you're posting. If you have good product selection, which in our program we're gonna tell you which products are good and bad, and also have good videos, and this is also something we make sure in the program where we look over your content and tell you, okay, this is good or this is bad. If you have those two things on a long enough time period with enough hours per day, it's literally guaranteed success. There's no way around it. You just post hundreds and hundreds of videos It just takes a few months until you make it work. And this opportunity overall is something which I've never seen in my whole life. Honestly, I've been in this business for a while now. When I started dropshipping, I purely did Facebook and Instagram shoutouts and stuff like that. And I remember how it was back in the day. I know for a fact it's crazier right now on TikTok. It is just insane how much profits beginners can do after just a couple of months. The craziest thing about TikTok organic generally are the margins. There's no ad spend at all. This means to make 10K in profit per month, you basically have to make anywhere between 15 and 20K. And that's much more doable. Way easier than doing 50K on Facebook. Keep in mind, you still have to pay taxes, so 10K is 5K. Generally, don't forget about that. This is a reality which you just have to accept in business or move to Dubai or some shit. But my point is, it's way less customers you have to deal with and also way less revenue, but way more profit, which is amazing. The average profit margins on organic are anywhere between 45 and 70%. So worst case with 45%, this is unheard of on Facebook. 45% margins on Facebook are insane. On organic, that's the bare minimum. I have students who are having 85% margins, and one guy even has 99% margins because it's a digital product. He just promotes it on TikTok. The only thing he has to pay for is just fees, and that's it. So it's almost like 100% margins if you have a digital product, but obviously that's not average, that's just an exception. Let's talk about the thing you've probably been all waiting for, which is TikTok Shop. And TikTok Shop generally is just cracked. It's just super OP at the moment because TikTok wants to compete with Amazon currently. TikTok wants to beat Amazon at selling on their own platform. And what they're doing is artificially boosting their own content which uses TikTok Shop. So if you're using TikTok Shop, going viral is not even a problem anymore. Like I've seen terrible products with terrible videos just go viral because of TikTok Shop. However, there's one big catch. You need to have amazing delivery times. You're gonna have cash flow problems because TikTok pays you out pretty late. And also, if you fuck up with the delivery or your tracking numbers or something like that, TikTok is automatically gonna refund the customer even though you've sent out the product. So if your supplier fucks up and, for example, the tracking numbers are not uploaded in the first couple of days, you're done. If the customer doesn't receive the product inside of the first 9 days, your customers all are literally gonna get refunded. And I had a student who had to refund like 15K of orders just because he had some shipping issues right away. All of a sudden, just 15K gone, even though he has sent out the product. So you've spent a bunch of money on inventory, and on top of that, you have to refund. However, if you actually have the supplier things down, and also you live in the US, that's very important because if you live outside, they didn't really enroll TikTok Shop anywhere else, then you basically have to buy accounts and do things through specific agencies, and it's actually super expensive to connect with them. So I would not recommend TikTok Shop to beginners. However, what I would recommend, starting out with organic, making it work, making enough capital, making sure that all your supply chain are good, and then starting with TikTok Shop. And if you do these two things, it's a deadly combination. Good content, good products, plus TikTok Shop is insane. So again, what I would highly recommend is step one, do organic. Be really good at organic, and then you can start thinking about TikTok Shop. That's just the second step. And keep in mind, even if you have a shit ton of money, you should still do organic, because guess what? What you're gonna do then is you do organic, and then you start hiring a bunch of creators who are also gonna do organic for you, and then you scale that way and leverage your money with creators. This is how you should do it versus trying to make Facebook ads work. Because literally it doesn't matter how much budget you have, organic is gonna be easier to make work as a beginner. If you actually want to learn the entire process of doing organic dropshipping, I have a program which covers all of it. Step one, you're going to learn how to pick amazing products which go viral easily. Step two is you learn how to go viral with these products. Step three is how do you actually get from views to sales? So how do you design your store perfectly? How you manage the average order value? And also, how do you go viral in the right way? Because obviously, if you go viral because of some bullshit in the background, which doesn't have anything to do with your product, you're not going to make a bunch of sales. If you go viral because your product is so cool, you're going to make way more sales. On top of that, if you go viral in the right audience and country and all of these things, this is going to be the deciding factor between making like $50 per million views versus 15K per million views. And the last step after you learned how to convert, how to go viral, how to pick product is picking creators. We're going to help you find creators who are going to be able to do things for you. Then you outsource things, and all of a sudden you have way less to do. You actually are freeing up your time. You just have to manage them. They do all the work and you just cash in. It sounds crazy, but it actually is the case. So if you want to join, click the link below and I will talk to you very soon.